Hi, my name is Tristan Lugo, and this is my speech on the importance of reading food labels. This is for Fundamentals of Public Speaking. Today's date's August 30th, 2025. So, I'm going to talk about something that we all interact on a daily basis, but we often overlook, which is food labels, right? So the choices we make at the grocery store, and in our kitchens, and it impacts our energy, our long-term health, and how we feel day to day, right? So reading food labels, might sound very simple, but it can actually be life-changing if you understand it. So let's go into why food labels matter, right? So there's a couple reasons, right? So like I said, first, they provide essential nutrition facts. Without them, would have no idea how many calories, grams of sugar, or nutrients we are consuming. When we eat a product. Second, they help us manage our calorie intake. It's important whether we want to maintain weight, lose weight, or simply eat mindfully. Third, they allow us to make smarter food choices. For example, two cereals may look similar on the shelf, but the label can reveal that one has half the sugar than the other, or maybe the other has double the calories even though it has half the sugar. And then finally, labels help us identify allergens, right? Any harmful ingredients, such as trans fat or excessive sodium. Something that, at least here in Mexico, I have a proof here, right? It says excess calories and excess sodium, right? So these are things that the Secretary of Health has made mandatory on items like these. Something you don't see in the U.S. Maybe we should implement that. So I'd like to ask you guys, how many of you guys look at the nutrition label before buying something? Me personally, I look at it pretty much when I'm buying anything, but that's just because I'm fat phobic. So I don't really count. But let me teach you how to read a food label, right? So let's go to the nutrition facts, right? So serving size is at the very top. And this is very key because many people overlook this, right? So package can contain 1, 2, or 3 servings, or 4, 5, 6, for example. Let's talk about this pack of Doritos, right? It says servings is about 11 and a half, right? 11 and a half servings per box here. Bag, right? And it says 145 calories per servings, right? So when you look at this, at first glance, you're like, 145 calories, that's not that bad. But then you realize that there's 11 and a half servings, and this whole bag is what? 1,600 calories, right? So then there you go. Boom, you eat the whole bag. People who are uneducated might think it's 180 calories, right? No harm, no foul. But you actually ate 10 times that. More, really. Right, so let's look at calories per serving, right? This is another thing. It gives you a sense of how energy dense the food is, right? Calories per serving, right? So, like I said, these chips, again, 145 calories. That's not that high in calories, but if you look at the portion size, it's 30 grams. So, if you know how small 30 grams is, it's nothing. That's what, 6, 7 chips. You eat that in what, 1 minute of snacking, and you might take down half this bag without even thinking, right? Sure as heck doesn't fill you up, I'll tell you that. Below that are the macronutrients, right, such as fats, saturated fats, trans fats, cholesterol, sodium, carbohydrates, protein. All these, these tell you how the calories are divided. And then you also see the micronutrients like vitamins and minerals, which are just below that, right? So just below that, right there, vitamin D. You can see vitamin D, which is 0 micrograms, calcium, 320 milligrams, and then iron, 1.6 milligrams, right? So it has a decent amount, right? So you can see in the quick guide percent daily value. So yeah, generally 5 is very low, and then 20% or more, is pretty high. Considering you eat 3-4 meals, you get just about 100% of your daily value. and then they also below that, which I've also included, is the ingredients list, right? It's also equally as important. It's written in order of weight, meaning the first ingredient is what the food contains the most of, right? And then, like I said, again, the percentage values, right? I mean, these help you understand if food's high or low in nutrient, right, based on a 2,000 calorie diet, right? So the daily values, it's a good metric to go off of. So I'd also like to show you a 0 calorie option, right? This is a Gatorade Zero. We see here it has, right, it's 12 fluid ounces, right, 2.5 servings per container. So it says Gatorade Zero, right? So you might think zero sugar. It says 0 sugar and 0 calories, right? But the catch is it's 0 calories per serving, right? You can see there's 10 calories per container. So like I said, you have to pay attention to these things. You don't want to get thrown off. And this is a very good product. It does 16% sodium. I mean, it's on the higher end, but if you drink one of these, you're not going to die or anything. So, what are the health benefits for reading labels, right? What is all this for, really? Helps with weight management. You're more aware of what you're eating. Can lower the risk of chronic diseases like diabetes, heart disease, high blood pressure. We all know these. We do not want these, right? We want to prevent these diseases. And then like I said, reading labels will help you reduce your sugar intake, your sodium intake, your unhealthy fats like trans fats, saturated fats. Which we all know all of these are linked to major health problems. And then it also encourages balanced nutrition. Making sure you get enough fiber, vitamins, proteins. And then also avoiding the excess junk like these Doritos chips or, this isn't junk technically, but it is mayonnaise. It's very, very, very high in calories. There's 49 servings per container in this mayonnaise. So that's 100 times 50, which is 5,000. So that's 5,000 calories of mayo, right? And people who like mayo, they can, put, 200-300 calories on their sandwich. And now that 400-500 calorie sandwich is now a 100,000 calorie sandwich, without you even trying. So, you need to read these labels, right? You need to read these labels. And then also, you also need a balanced nutrition, right? Right. Also balanced nutrition. For example, this isn't the best example. This is what I have right now, but this is some tomatillo salsa. Very low in calories. However, it does have I'm brain farting here. It has a lot of nutrients. I don't know why I'm brain farting. Whatever. A lot of nutrients in there. But let's give you some tips, right? To wrap this speech up, let's give you some tips, right? So, in these pictures, you want to compare labels before buying, right? So don't just grab the first product you see. Watch out for hidden sugars, fats. They can be listed in names like corn syrup, palm oil, hydrogenated oils. And then there's some products here. For example, Heinz tomato ketchup compared to, simple ingredients with 0 added sugar. You always want the 0 added sugar. Or Coca-Cola with 39 grams of added sugar compared to an Olipop, which is my personal favorite soda, with 9 grams of added sugar. 9 grams of fiber and 2 grams of added sugar. Incredible. You have the Best Foods, right? You have the Best Foods mayo here with soybean oil additives. It's very cheap oil compared to avocado oil mayonnaise, or Lay's versus Boulder chips. The Boulder chips are very good. If you haven't tried them, you should try them. Very, very good. All these are healthier alternatives, lowering calories, lowering trans saturated fats, all that good stuff. All right, so another thing, choose foods with shorter ingredient lists, right? Aim for higher fiber, high protein, and because it keeps you full for longer. And then always pay attention. Like I said, always pay attention to serving sizes. You want to know what you're actually eating. So, anyways, to wrap these things up, reading food labels gives you power, right? The power to make informed decisions for your health, and every small choice adds up. So the next time you go shopping, remember your health is literally printed right there on the package. All you have to do is read it. Simple. Here's my reference page. And thank you.